Champions Cup Round 2 preview then. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers. Here are my thoughts ahead of another top weekend of what has always been, and I think still is, the ultimate club rugby competition in the world. I was discussing on previous videos that I think it has lost a little bit of the magic that it had before, partly because they keep tinkering with the format and changing it, and I'll definitely touch on that in this video, but it's still very special. There were some outstanding matches, some brilliant performances, and 7 out of the 8 English Premiership teams got a win, which I don't think anyone really saw coming. There's reasons for that, which I'll discuss on this video, but as ever, if I haven't already, I really hope I will earn your subscription on this video. Give the video a thumbs up to help spread the word, grow the show, and get stuck in the comments with your thoughts. So, some of the takeaways and some of the thoughts since the first round of rugby. Mark McCall, the director of rugby at Saracens, has commented on the fact that a lot of teams were putting out weakened sides for away games. We saw this with, it was the Stormers playing away at Leicester. And I mean, they did really well. That young team did very well. Second string team were ahead at half time and probably deserved the losing bonus point as a minimum. And then Stade Francais sent a second string team to Sale Sharks and were beaten. Mark McCall is suggesting that, well, teams need to take this really seriously and treat it like the special competition it is. And I understand what he's saying. I also think that the reason teams aren't doing this is a consequence of the format. The fact that, well, so few teams are going to get eliminated after the pool stage. You can afford to lose a game. You can probably afford to lose 2. You might even be able to afford to lose 3 and still progress to the knockouts. Therefore, when you've got busy domestic rugby schedules or lots of air miles to cover, as in the case of South African teams, maybe it makes more sense to leave players at home and focus on your home games first and get a bonus on the road. As it is, Saracens took a full-strength team to Pretoria and they lost. Now they're up against it. But I know what Mark McCall's saying, and as I mentioned, I don't think this competition is as special feeling as it has been, and the fact that teams put out second-string sides is part of that. I understand the reasons for it, but it's just the nature of it. In the past, you couldn't afford to lose a home game and expect to qualify. Now, I think teams are losing games and still expecting to qualify. And part of the issue is the logistics surrounding those South African sides. I think it's something they need to look at in the years ahead. It's such a tough thing to do, to play away in South Africa, having just played, or a South African team to come to Europe to play and then go and back it up the following week. So maybe that's something they need to look at. Tell me what you think in the comments on that one. That's the logistics. That's the other issue I think that's been thrown up. Just going back to this picture of all the teams, and this is a bugbear of mine, and I'd be interested to know if you think the same. The kits. Like, I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to rugby. I love honouring the tradition of our sport, and some of these kits just aren't right. The European kits, I understand for generating a bit of cash, but again, to make it feel special, when I see Bath play Ulster, Bath should be in blue, white and black hoops, and Ulster should be in bright white, and that's just how it should be. Same goes with Harlequins against Racing last weekend. Racing 92, what an iconic jersey they've got, those sky blue and white hoops. And Harlequins have one of the most famous rugby jerseys in history. In years to come, when we look back on these matches, they should be wearing these kits. Rant over. If you want to have another kit to make some money, do it in one of your domestic leagues. But we need to treat, this all comes back to the point, we need to treat the Champions Cup as something very, very special. If we don't take it seriously, and if teams don't take it as seriously, then why should anybody else? Anyway, getting on to the actual matches coming up this weekend, I've picked out 3 games I'm especially excited for. And the first one of those is the Stormers against La Rochelle. I cannot wait for this game. This is the first match between these two teams in history. First time they've ever come together. And this is what I love about this. The South African teams that have come in has thrown up just another dynamic. Some of these fixtures, and I'll get onto one of these in a minute, are like teams that have played a lot against each other and have built up a real rivalry over the years. This is a fresh rivalry, but we have got the European champions having just lost at home going to the backyard of a team that are going to be full of world champions. The Stormers are going to stack their team with all their big names. You're going to see Marnie Libok, Damien Willemse, Dion Fourie, Janchis, Dweber. The names keep going. This is fantastic. Both teams having got a defeat in round one. I think this means La Rochelle have got to go there for the win. Will they send all their big names? I think they might do, you know. And they're going to be heading to Cape Town desperate for something out of the game. I mean, 2 losses from 2, whichever side loses this game, is a big dent in the hopes to progress. The scrum, I cannot wait for the scrum battle. It's going to be epic. And one thing to watch out for as well, the Stormers are playing on a new hybrid surface, which got tested out at the Cape Town Sevens recently. But that should mean that the gas men, like Willemse, like Libok, can... And hey, La Rochelle have got some speedsters as well. That can come to the fore. So really looking forward to that game. And I'm very much looking forward to Exeter v Munster. This is one of those games where, like I say, there is a rivalry that has built up over years. These teams have played each other a bunch of times. And there's always been a bit of niggle and a bit of tension. It's been tight and tense. And big battles up front. Big packs of forwards. It's become a bit of a grudge match. That history is building, and it's going to be rekindled again in Exeter, where they've got a newish stand that's been opened, and hopefully this is the kind of game that will mean it gets packed out and you can have a fantastic atmosphere down in Devon. Munster were pegged to a draw against Bayonne, so they need to try and go there to get something from Exeter, and Exeter got themselves a win against Toulon. Can they back it up? We're going to find out. And finally, this is just box office, isn't it? Harlequins against Toulouse. Both teams having won in round one. Harlequins, famous victory away in Paris. Marcus Smith was brilliant. You've got Antoine Dupont on the other team. Some of the most exciting rugby players around. A couple of players I'm looking for with my England hat on. Will Joseph was fantastic. One of those players that's come from one of the clubs that went bust, London Irish, and has moved to Quins and strengthened them. Will Evans as well, open side flanker. Big day for him. So, huge challenge for Quins. Toulouse, there is no more decorated team in this competition in history. That should be an absolute belter. But the fixtures overall, when you look at them, you've got on Friday night, take your pick between Bayonne and Glasgow and Northampton and Toulon. You've got Stormers La Rochelle, Saracens Claremont, Saracens Claremont, Saracens Connacht, Bordeaux v Bristol, Lyon v the Bulls, Leinster Sale, Cardiff Bath, and then on Sunday, Exeter Munster, Quins against Toulouse, and Stade Francais against Leicester. I cannot wait. So I think the English team surprised me in the opening weekend with 7 of them winning. Part of that due to the 3 teams having gone bust and the players strengthening the other 10 teams in the competition, which, I'm not pleased the teams went bust, but one silver lining is the English teams are more competitive. However, we're going to get a big test this weekend. We can, I think, really assess after 2 rounds where the strength and the powers in these 2 leagues are. But some absolutely blinding games to look forward to. What are you most excited about? I will be doing a review video after the weekend, picking out the big performers. So is there any players that you think you're expecting to have massive games and that I'll be talking about with you on Monday? The comments, get stuck in down below. That or anything else you're thinking, give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe. I will see you on the next one. This should be good.